past 5 years have not been kind to Brendan Schaub. He went from being a relatively well-liked, or at least not flat-out hated, former fighter turned podcast personality who was making a lot more money doing the latter than the former, thanks to his initiation into the ultra-lucrative Rogan sphere by proxy of his co-host and Joe Rogan's longtime friend Brian Callen, to the punchline of every single joke about being a horrible comedian with his own personal hate club verging on 170,000 members, and seemingly on the verge of bankruptcy, facing $1 million lawsuit, with most of his former colleagues wanting absolutely nothing to do with him, including the man that exposed him to such a big audience in the first place.
Who is the most hated man on the internet?
His name is Hunter Moore. I don't know.
Brendan Schaub just went like this.
Brendan went from being the most frequent guest on the Joe Rogan Experience to hardly being mentioned by Rogan at all, and not being allowed to perform in his Austin comedy club despite hosting just about every single comedian he's ever been associated with, and being the man responsible for encouraging Schaub to get into comedy in the first place.
People are weird, like that want a headline and you know that they know. Like, you know that you're not really a headliner. Like, what are you talking about?
Oh, why aren't you playing the mothership, Brendan? I don't deserve to be there. And have this conversation. I'm not there yet.
In this video, I'll break down why Rogan no longer wants Schaub around by highlighting several situations that led to the breakdown of their once very strong relationship. And there is no better place to start than Schaub's failed comedy career. Now, this is primarily an MMA channel, so I haven't exactly been following the ever-developing comedy podcast drama, and with the surface level information did manage to
what's rough? Is the volume fine for you all?
pick up, I felt like Rogan was being a terrible friend by not supporting Schaub after being the one to tell him to get into comedy. But after doing a bit of research, I've come to realize that he tried his best to steer him in the right direction, teaming up with Brian Callen to advise him not to release his Showtime comedy special Gringo Papi, which became responsible for most of the abuse Schaub receives regarding his comedy. But Brendan simply disregarded his advice, writing him off as a hater who was jealous of how fast his stand-up career was taken off.
Hey, Showtime was giving a special. I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be just like them. I didn't realize.
And I tried to talk him out of it.
You and Rogan did.
I tried to talk him out. We almost got in a physical fight.
And then I was like, oh, they're just haters.
Now, Rogan is far from being a talented stand-up comedian himself, but he does love it and has been doing it for over 30 years with 6 specials under his belt at the point that Gringo Papi was being released. So probably felt like a major slap in the face to be dismissed as a hater while he was trying to give genuine advice based on lived experience, and most likely made him feel like Schaub didn't actually respect him as a comedian because he didn't think he was good. And when Joe Rogan's own bomb of a special came out on Netflix in 2024 to overwhelming mockery and terrible reviews, along with accusations of him actually repurposing a couple of Schaub's jokes, it was all but confirmed by Brendan's former assistant, Mark Harley.
Brendan behind the scenes, like because Joe has been critical of him in private about his stand-up, he legitimately had a grudge where he's like, he would kind of try to downplay Rogan's comedy, like, you know, people saw your show and said it was like a TED Talk, and like that like helps his ego a lot to think that other people don't like Rogan's stand-up. Oh, so like by doing this, like Brendan would actually watch that video and be like, ha, told you, like,
yep. Wow.
You're trying to criticize me, but you're the one that people don't even like.
Considering how close to his heart Joe holds comedy, it's not too surprising that he began to distance himself from Schaub and never...
No, Norskin, I know Brendan was in a jacuzzi with the boys when that terrible thing happened to his wife, but wait, don't say she did that because she wanted a girl. That is so terrible. And Tranquillo, I really do hope you're doing well, seriously.
Invited him to move to Austin, even though he goes out of...
Everyone, Tranquillo is an actual veteran. Unlike some people we know, Tranquillo does not have stolen valor. Thank him.
His way to invite almost everyone that makes an appearance on his podcast, especially if they're a comic, as he's trying to turn Austin into another stand-up powerhouse like LA and New York. For example, look at the unprompted sales pitch he makes to Bobby Lee, who actually criticized Austin in the past and has absolutely no desire to move there. More on Bobby Lee in a bit, by the way, as he played a pretty big role in what happened between Rogan and Schaub.
It's a great place tax-wise, it's a great place traffic-wise, it's a great place. The most important thing is people-wise. The people here are so friendly. Austin people are great people. They're really nice. They're nice. They're not shitheads. They're not Hollywood people. They're not lost in this fake world of leftist ideology that everybody's trapped in.
Evil, woke people. I hate when people accept people who are different. It just gets my blood boiling. Why can't we all be the same?
They're just people. They're just regular people, man. And those people exist outside of these blue bubbles where everyone's gone insane.
You know, Brendan is like that car crash that you just cannot look away from. If I was sitting in an audience, and Brendan Schaub got on stage, do you really think I would get up and leave? I would sip my Busch Light, sit back, take my shirt off, and be like, Brendan, do you remember me?
Now, despite the fact that Rogan clearly never wanted Schaub to move to Austin, demonstrated by not only never inviting him, but also not allowing him to perform at his comedy club while letting his co-host Brian Callen film a whole special there, Schaub still decided to move, likely in hopes that being so close would make it too awkward for Joe to not let him back into the Rogan sphere. But not only didn't that work, but the move itself proved to be somewhat of a disaster, with the warehouse he rented out for the studio having a horrible effect on the quality of his podcast, with audible echoes, loud industrial AC, an active railroad right outside of the compound, and timed lights that periodically go out during filming. I didn't have time to look through hours of the Fighter and the Kid episodes to find these moments, or even knew where to look in the first place, so shout out to American Redact for the following footage.
This new studio is so huge, it's going to be really echoey for a little bit, but we're going to eventually fix it.
We'll get some sound absorbers.
Furniture.
We have to get stuff going.
What is that noise?
It's AC. It kicks on for a little bit, it'll turn off.
Old school, but that's a train?
Yeah, there's a train that goes around.
Oh.
Naturally, making a big, uncomfortable move to a different state and not getting the expected open arm welcome from Joe Rogan put Schaub in a pretty lousy headspace, and he began to wax poetically about how much he misses LA almost immediately, and even threw a not so subtle shot at Rogan himself.
I'm heartbroken about LA. Yeah. I miss my community, my routine. Oh, do you have so much inflammation from your kettlebell workouts?
Yeah.
Pro athletes, I get it, dude.
Sure.
You working out an hour a day? You think you need a cold tub?
40 minutes.
Even if we put the comedy thing aside, Rogan's friendship with Schaub has caused him nothing but aggravation.
You know, I can't hate on Brian for the flip-flops because that's all I wear. If I'm not in the gym wearing gym shoes, I just have flip-flops on with my socks, like I'm straight out of the 90s. Hey, I have never been known for being a fashionista. I mean, clearly, look at me. I'm known for wearing close to nothing. When it comes to dressing up, that's out of my wheelhouse. I know close to nothing about fashion. Seriously.
Like the time he used his name to threaten Bobby Lee when he was tricked into believing that Bobby was running an online hate campaign against him by a fraudulent investigator, which rubbed Joe the wrong way, as his relationship with Bobby goes all the way back to the mid-90s.
You were gonna expose me to Rogan and all these people, and that I should get a lawyer, and that I mean, this is what you told me, and,
Yeah,
and also just mind you, it was at a level.
Oh. No, I wear like those flip-flops where you just like stick your feet through. That's what I wear. Oh, 2 swords, you just noticed this. Yeah, when I hung this up, I redid my entire background. I'm closer to the wall. So you can clearly see I prep. I'm just like Brendan, I just go.
10 of rage. It wasn't like a soft-spoken, like, you know,
Very aggressive.
Yeah, it was extreme, you know what I mean? Threats.
There's been a lot of drama lately, and one of the things that happened was somehow or another my name got entered into this thing, and I don't want to get into it in too much detail, but I'm like, okay, I must call Bobby, and I called him, and I said, listen, I don't know what kind of, I'm just hearing about this nonsense now, but I love you. I would never let anybody talk bad about you. I would never let anybody come on my show and talk bad about you.
Then there was the incident with Ariel Helwani, where Brendan recklessly retold a false account of why Ariel was in bad graces with the UFC, once again dragging Joe's name into the mix.
You know, the reason why the UFC doesn't like Ariel is because he was told backstage that Brock Lesnar was coming back and then there'll be an announcement, and then he went and wrote it up, and you know, he broke that agreement. That never happened. That's
well, let's be honest. A huge voice on a massive podcast put that out there.
Yeah,
and
it's 100% inaccurate. Brendan Schaub is
100%
inaccurate. And trust me,
I was actually referring to Joe Rogan, but there you go.
Well, Brendan Schaub gets his cues from Joe Rogan. It's a 5-year-old lie. I responded to Joe Rogan on that day, and for some reason, Brendan is sitting there 5 years later after I've addressed this a gazillion times, saying, look, you know, he made his bed and he has to lie in it. That's not what happened.
And then there was the hilarious time where Brendan accidentally started a rumor of...
Listen, I always say I do not trust people who cannot be emotionally moved by music. Everyone, how do you smile like this? It's like a... Look, whoa. Oh, Ice Truck Thriller, he 100% needs braces. Look at his teeth. Look at this, look at this, his tooth. Whoa, I am so petty. I'm so petty.
Joe cheating on his wife by using him as an example of a bald guy that was, quote...
And by the way, everyone, Sean French, thank you for your service also. This channel does stand with the military, and this channel does support the United States of America. Salute. Seriously, thank you all.
Slanging dick in an attempt to give advice to a younger fan of his podcast who was losing his hair.
Listen, I know some bald dudes are slanging dick out there. Look at Dana White, Rogan. That's it. I did not mean Joe Rogan is cheating on his wife. Joe Rogan is one of my closest, dearest friends.
And to add the cherry on top, Brady Bell, the person currently suing Schaub for fraud and theft, was introduced to him by the CEO of On It, Aubrey Marcus, who is a close personal friend of Joe Rogan, which can't be going over well behind the scenes. So with all that in mind, it's not at all surprising that Rogan seems to have abandoned him completely and is actually pretty justifiable. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below.
I'll let you know what I think. Geekay. Oh wait, they just removed Geekay's live stream video. 2 swords. What makes you say that?